So, what does a school day in China really look like? We hear all about the long, tough hours, but that's only part of the story. Let's dive in and break down the incredibly structured K-12 school day, from their unique morning rituals all the way to their late night study sessions. On average, the school day can stretch for a full 10 hours. Yeah, you heard that right. It often kicks off around 7:30 in the morning and doesn't wrap up until after 6 in the evening. That's a serious amount of time. So the big question is, what exactly fills up all those hours? You might be picturing just nonstop lectures, but the reality is way more structured and honestly pretty surprising. And that's the key thing to get here. It isn't just about endurance or grinding it out. The whole thing is seen as a thoughtfully structured system, one that's deliberately designed to balance intense academics with the students' well-being. Okay, so this timeline is basically our roadmap for the day. It starts bright and early with morning reading, then these big group exercises, and check this out, a massive 2-hour break for lunch and rest. We'll definitely get into how important that is. Then it's back to it, but with another unique break for eye exercises, and the day finishes with evening study. Let's start at the top. All right, the day kicks off with a set of rituals, and these are all about instilling discipline, sharpening language skills, and building a real sense of community from the very first minute you walk through the door. Picture this. You get to school, but instead of just hanging out with your friends until a bell rings, the entire school is already humming with the sound of students reading their lessons out loud. This practice is called 早读 or 早读. It's this dedicated time for morning reading, where everyone reading together helps build fluency in both Chinese and English. It immediately sets a tone for the whole day, focused, active learning. Now, here's a huge difference from a lot of other school systems around the world. Once you are in your classroom for the day, you don't leave. That room becomes your home base for everything. So instead of students shuffling between classes for different subjects, the students stay put. It's the teachers for math, for English, for history, who are the ones that rotate through the classroom all day long. And this whole home base idea really works because of a figure called the class master. This is usually a teacher for a core subject, and they are the anchor for the class. They're not just an instructor, they're a guide, a mentor. They create this stable environment where classmates can form these incredibly tight bonds. Okay, so after a morning of some pretty intense focus, the day intentionally shifts gears. This whole midday period is about hitting the reset button, with time specifically set aside to balance mind and body. Around 10 a.m., after the first couple classes are done, the entire student body heads outside into the schoolyard. And this isn't just recess. It's something way more organized. It's called 广播体操 or 广播体操. These are broadcast physical exercises. And I mean, everyone, from the youngest kids to the oldest students, performs this whole synchronized routine to music and instructions playing over the school's speaker system. So why do this every single day? Well, it breaks up all that sitting and gets the blood flowing. But just as important, it creates this powerful sense of unity. And that focus on rest is even more obvious in the day's biggest break, that 2-hour lunch period. It's not just for eating, it's time for a proper meal, and it's followed by a nap, or 午休. Students might just put their heads on their desks, or they might go to a dorm. It's a deep cultural belief that this midday rest is essential for your health and for being able to really refocus for the afternoon. And that focus on well-being keeps going right into the afternoon. There's another schedule break, and this one is designed to fight a very modern problem. These are the 眼保健操 or 眼保健操. Yep, eye exercises. It's a whole routine of massaging pressure points around the eyes, and it's specifically designed to combat the eye strain that comes from hours and hours of reading and studying. It's a small part of the day, but a really significant one. Now, as the day starts to wind down, the focus gets laser sharp, especially for the older students. The entire structure of their day is really geared toward one massive, life-defining goal. Everything. The curriculum, the dedicated study time, that intense work ethic that's being built, it all leads to a single point. For millions of Chinese high school students, their entire future really hinges on one monumental exam. And that is the Gaokao. This is the National College Entrance Exam, and it is incredibly high stakes. A student's score on this test can determine which university they get into, and that in turn can shape their entire career and future. So, as you can imagine, preparing for an exam that important can't just be squeezed into a normal school day. The day itself is extended to give students more structured time to review and practice. This brings us to the final piece of the day, 晚自习 or 晚自习. This is evening self-study. After dinner, students head back to their classroom for a quiet, supervised session to do homework and prep for the Gaokao. It's all about deep focus in a supportive space. So what's the result of all this structure? Well, the goal is to produce students who not only have a really strong foundation of knowledge, but also have a deeply ingrained work ethic. It's a system that's truly designed to build the academic endurance and skills they need for success down the road. And that leaves us with a final thought. I mean, this system is a world away from many others for sure, but in our own world, which is so full of constant digital distractions, you have to wonder, what can we take away from an educational model built so intentionally on deep focus, shared community, and the simple power of routine?